Hey everyone, this is David Razavi and I'm a composer who scored music for narrative film, documentaries, and video games, and I've also done some music editing, sound design, and voice acting. This channel is pretty much intended to be an online portfolio showcasing the music I compose with hopes of collaborating on new projects, but I also plan to make tutorials about my process, show tips and tricks I've learned, I'll be reviewing new gear and software, and maybe even doing some composing challenges. And I'm sure the content will evolve over time, so I'm open to any feedback or suggestions on what you might want to see moving forward. So with that, let's get started. So when I decided on starting a YouTube channel, one of the things I wanted to do was to create a theme for the intro. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the process and some compositional techniques that I used. And I know you heard the whole thing at the beginning of all this, but I'll play it again from Cubase so you can get an overview of the instrument tracks and how I had it constructed. The first thing I did was I just sat down at the MIDI keyboard and started playing around with an ostinato, and it was actually inspired from a guitar riff I made a while back, but I put it on a staccato flute patch, and that's arpeggiating an E minor 7, then a G major, and this is layered in unison with the violin parts. The bass line in low strings and brass is essentially ascending up the scale from E to A. And the viola and cello part is similar, but embellished with triplets to have the movement driving forward. And now here's all of that together. I'd say this is the basic foundation of the piece, and I just started experimenting, playing with different instruments to layer on top of all of it. Now the next thing I added was the trombones and violins holding long notes to fill in some of the harmonies and further support the other parts. I chose this type of orchestration because with the high violins and low trombones, it leaves sonic space open in the mid frequencies for the melody to shine through, which we'll get to pretty soon. The percussion parts were improvised recordings as I went along, just trying different performances until I was satisfied with the feel I had in mind, and adding accents with the chimes, bass drum, and crash cymbal. The ticking sound is a clockwork patch from Stormdrum 3. I just wanted to have a sound that wasn't a traditional orchestral instrument, but could still blend in pretty well. As that 8-bar phrase repeats itself, the melody kicks in with the French horns doubled with violins. I wanted it to have a kind of a big and grand feel, and this mix of instrumentation is a common technique to achieve that. And now the last thing I want to mention is the trumpet fanfare and flute and piccolo runs at the very end. It adds some nice flavor and movement to the foreground as the main melody is holding its longer notes. And the woodwinds are doubled with violin spiccato samples to help it stand out a little bit more. So that's about all I have to say about this piece. I mean, it's relatively straightforward, no complex harmonies or time changes, pretty standard instrumentation, and it's very short. I just wanted to give a quick overview of what I do and what to expect from some of these videos. This is my first time putting myself out there like this since I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of person. but I think it's good for me to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and not only showcase my skill set, but also help others in their music journey in any way that I can. And that's going to be it for now. So if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, feel free to contact me. Leave a comment below, and I'd really appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe, because I guess that's the YouTube thing to do. And I will see you next time.